All right, guys, let's knock out this last review of the year. Unbelievable. Okay, here we go. First one, find the vertices, foci, asymptotes of the hyperbola. Now, these first two, we're back to 0, 0 again. The center 0, 0. So, number one, the vertices. Remember, in the hyperbola, the positive one, or the first variable, is the one that's the major. So, I'm going to go plus or minus 4 on the major axis. Go to 4 left, 4 right. Also going to go up 3, down 3. Draw my box. Remember, the box's purpose is to draw these asymptotes correctly. And because the x comes first, the hyperbola is going to open like that. So there's the vertices in the hyperbola. The foci, you got to go c squared is a squared plus b squared. 16 plus 9 is 25. Take the square root, you get plus or minus 5, which means your foci are plus or minus 5, 0. There's one on the graph. And the last thing it says is the asymptotes. The asymptotes are going to be y equals plus or minus. The slope, remember the slope is, you can either rise over run on your picture, or you can just look. It's the square root of s under the y over the square root of s under the x. And there's your asymptotes. All right, that's number one. All right, number two, same kind of problem, except you need to divide everything by 144 first. 36 goes into 144 4 times, which means 4 goes into 144 36 times, and it equals 1. Again, x is the major, even though it's smaller, because it is first. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the y, and 2 on the x. I'm going to draw the box here. Remember, I've drawn the box so that I can draw the asymptotes. And then because the x comes first, the hyperbola is actually going to go left and right, just like the last one did, which means my vertices are at plus or minus 2, 0. The foci would be c squared is 40 when you add those denominators. And when you break that down, you get plus or minus 2 on 10. Also on the major, so plus or minus 2 on 10, 0. And then I'm going to go with the asymptotes, plus or minus 6 over 2x, which is really plus or minus 3x. And again, those numbers come from the 36 and the 4, or you can come to your graph and go run 6, run 2. Okay, so either way you want to go there is fine. Number 3, going backwards here, find the equation of the hyperbola has foci 0 plus or minus 10 and vertices 0 plus or minus 8. Now, there's a lot of hints there in that problem. 8 are the vertices, and they're the y coordinate, which means the y comes first, and it's going to be 64 minus x squared over something. It's going to be 1. Remember, all these problems, use what they give you. Use what they give you. They gave me the foci. They gave me c is 10. Well, c squared is a squared plus b squared. So what do you add to 64 to get 100? 36. And there you have it. Number 4. Same stuff as number 1 and 2, except now the center is not 0, 0. So we got to actually find the center first. So I'm going to say, okay, the center is going to be at 3, negative 2. Remember, it's the opposite of what's inside. It would probably help a lot to draw a graph here. So I'm going to go to 3, negative 2, down here. I'm going to go right 4 because of the 16. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and also 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, there we go. And I'm going to go up 3, which is 1, 2, 3, and also down 3 to right there. And now I can draw my box. Lots of boxes on this test. Connect the corners. And because the x is first, again, I'm going here, and I'm going there. Okay, so my vertices. I end up going 4 to the right of 3, which just means 7, negative 2. Also went 4 to the left of 3, which just means negative 1, negative 2. Notice the y is not changing. It won't. It says foci. Foci is c squared, a squared plus b squared, which should be 16 plus 9, which is 25. Which means c is going to be plus or minus 5. Now, don't forget what c means. C is how far from the center to the foci, not the vertex. So the center is actually at 3 right here. So I'm going to go 5 to the right, which puts me at 8. And also 5 to the left, which puts me at negative 2. What else we got here? We need the lengths of the major and minor axis. The major, I went right 4 and left 4, which means I went 8. The minor, I went up 3 and down 3, which means I went 6. And there's that one. Number 5, find all the stuff for this is a parabola. first thing you need to do here, remember, you need to find the 4p or you can't find the stuff. So factor out the 8 first, get it in standard form, that's standard form. Vertex is the opposite of what's inside your parentheses. Don't forget 4p is that number in the front, 4p is 8, which means p is 2. I should have done this first. Much easier if you draw a little graph down here somewhere. The vertex is 3, negative 1, right there. And because the 8 is 4p and it's in front of the y, it means it opens up like the y-axis does. And because p is 2, the focus is going to be 2 above the vertex. If I go 2 up from 3, negative 1, it's going to be 3, positive 1, which means the directrix would be 3 below down here. And if I go 3 below, I'm going to get y equals negative 3. And there's my 3 answers. But you had to put it in the right form first. Number 6, same kind of deal. They give you this equation, find the center, all the stuff of the hyperbola. It's already ready. That's really over 1. The center is going to be the opposite of what's in your numerator, 0, negative 2. Your vertices, let's go to the vertices. First of all, 0, negative 2. Again, a picture would help so much. There's the center. The vertices, because the x is first, is going to be 1 away on each side. There's my vertex is going to be. Without drawing the box yet, it's going to look like that. Okay, so my 2 vertices, one is at 1, negative 2. The other one is at negative 1, negative 2. It also says foci. Got to find c. C squared will be 1 plus 9, which is 10. If I take the square root of 10, you get the square root of 10. Now, you got to add that to the center. The center's down at 0, luckily, I guess. So, and it's on the major axis, which is the x. So I'm going to add it to the center part of the x. So I'll just get plus or minus 10 and negative 2. That was kind of nice. Okay, asymptotes. All I'm going to ask you to do here is do the slopes of the asymptotes. Remember how you do the slope? You put plus or minus, then the square root of what's under the y over square root of what's under the x, which is 1. So the slope will be plus or minus 3. And there you have it. Number 7, complete the square and figure out what it is. Okay, so notice there are 2 squares. I already know what it is. There's 2 squares. One's positive, one's negative, which means it's a hyperbola. So I got to make that look like a hyperbola. Okay, so I'm going to put my x's together and your y's together. And when you put your y's together, go ahead and factor out that 4. When you factor out that 4, it's going to make the 16 change signs also. Equals 0, complete the square. Half of 2 is 1, square it is 1, add that to both sides. Half of 16 is 4, square it is 16, add that to both sides. So it gives me this, x minus 1 squared minus 4 times y minus 4 squared equals 17. Now I don't like the 4 there. I wouldn't mind it, except for the 17. Oh, wait, I forgot one thing. I about just blew that. Sorry. Okay, because I blew that a little bit because that's 16. I wrote 16 on the other side, but it's not really 16 because of that negative 4. I forgot the negative 4 there for a second. So let's start this again. I added 1 over here, so I'm going to put 1 over here. I'm really adding negative 4 times, let me start this again. Hang on just one second. So sorry, but this is live video. So I went back up one step to where I was. Added 1 here, so I'm going to add 1 on this side. When I wrote the 16 there, I put plus 16. I put plus 16 on the other side, but that's not what it is. It's really 16 times the negative 4, which is negative 64. So sorry about that. So I end up here. I get x minus 1 squared minus 4 times y minus 4 squared equals negative 63. Now, because I have that negative 63, at first you're like, man, it can't happen, but you know what? It can. Watch what happens here. Before I divide by negative 63, I need to move this 4 in front to my denominator. I usually wouldn't do that, and the reason I'm doing it here is because I have to divide by 63, and the 63 will not go. The 4 and the 63 won't cancel. So now I'm going to divide by negative 63. If I divide by negative 63, all the signs change. Over here I get 1. Over here, I'm going to put the y first now, because all of a sudden it's positive, and it's going to be 63 over 4. And I'm going to put minus the x minus 1 squared because it's negative because that's divided by negative 63. And there you go. And there's your hyperbola. And that's all I want you to do is put it in the right form, name what it is. That was a pretty good one right there. Okay, that's a little bit on the tough side, but you got it. I know you can do it. Complete confidence. It's not letting me erase. Okay, number 8. A bit easier stuff now. So let's find the inverse. Remember the gesture we did. Find the determinant, which is 27 minus 28, which is -1. Flip it. If you flip it, it's still -1. Put it in the front, and then switch the first and the fourth, change signs on the second and third, and then go ahead and distribute that -1, which will give me -9, +4, +7, -3. And there's that. Number 9, solve the system using a matrix equation. You need to show 3 steps here. First step, set up your matrix equation. Put your coefficients in one matrix. Put your x and y in the second matrix. And then we're going to go with the 2 and the 20 in the third one. Now our job is to move that over, but when we move it over, we must move the inverse of it over. All right, so I'm going to do the inverse just like I just did. I got to find the determinant, which is -26 minus -25, which is -1. Again, that's convenient. If you flip the -1, it's still -1. Put it in the front. Switch the first and the fourth. Change signs on the other two. And we're going to multiply that by the 220 over here. All right, so I would leave the -1 for the end, but that's up to you. Going to multiply, cross down. It's going to be -26 and -100, which is -126. That's humongous. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 20 is 40. 10 and 40 are 50, which means I'm going to end up with 126 and -50. That looks awfully huge. But I just checked it, and it's really good. Okay, so number 10. Number 10, find the equation of the tangent line. At that point, you need to remember the formula we did for equation of a tangent line. It's basically the same thing as a derivative. In case you need a quick reminder, the equation of the tangent line, we're going to go the limit as x approaches 0, as I should say h approaches 0 of f of a plus h minus f of a all over h. That's where we're going. And remember the a is the x coordinate. So I'm going to go f of, switch it around a little bit, h plus 2 minus f of 2. Now, you can plug 2 in there to get f of 2. You can plug it in this function right there, but it's already telling you what it is. F of 2 is 2. So I'm just going to put 2 here over h. So here we go. I'm going to plug in h plus 2, which will give me h plus 2 over h plus 2 minus 1, which is h plus 1, minus 2 over h. I forgot to try my limit, like you all do sometimes. All right, because I have a fraction and a fraction, I'm going to multiply by the LCD. And that gives me this. That gives me the limit as h approaches 0 of, my numerator is going to be h plus 2 minus 2 times h plus 1 all over h over, but we never did multiply the denominator when we did all this. Keep on simplifying. And now I have the limit as h approaches 0 of h plus 2 minus 2h minus 2 all over h times h plus 1. So my numerator I'm looking at, the 2's are gone. So I have the limit as h approaches 0 of negative h in my numerator. On the denominator, I have h and h plus 1. Obviously, those h's are going to cancel right here, which is going to be the limit of as h approaches 0 of -1 over h plus 1. And now I'm okay to plug that 0 in there because it's not going to make my denominator 0. That leaves me -1 over 1, which is -1. Now, that's the slope. I should have said that earlier. That's the slope of the tangent line. And once you get that slope right there, and you have the point 2, 2, you can go y minus 2 equals -1 times x minus 2. Distribute the -1, you get negative x plus 2. Move the 2 over, you're going to end up right here, negative x plus 4. That's all you got to do on that one. No, really, no big deal there. And again, it's not let me rest. I'm sorry. This thing sometimes drives me crazy. Okay, last one. Finally, number 11, interest problem. I keep giving you these because I really want you to know this if you can't tell. Suppose you invest $10,000 in an account that pays 8% interest per year, compounded quarterly. How long will it take for it to double? If it doubles, it's going to be worth $20,000. You're starting with $10,000. 1 plus R over N. R is 8% over N is 4 because it's quarterly. And it's going to take N times T is my exponent. They're asking you for T. You don't know what it is. First step's divide two things. Divide by 10,000. That gives you 2. Work out what's in your parentheses. Punch it on your calculator. And you're going to get 1.02 to the 4t power. And then once you get there, you can't find the same base. You got to do natural log or log both sides, whichever one you like better. Will not matter. I'm going to punch that in, natural log 2 divided by natural log 1.02. I'm getting 35.0027, actually 28. And then just divide that by 4. Just while you get that on your calculator, divided by 4. I'm getting 8.8 years to double, which is about exactly right. That didn't make much sense, about exactly right. But anyway, hope that helps you. There's some pretty long problems on there, so, you know, come see me if you need me. Hope you do great. Last one. Gotta do great. See you tomorrow.